Roswell has to be my favorite stop. Every year we stop there, and it's an airplane graveyard. So, you get to see a lot of older, rare aircraft. And also at that FBO, they have a free nacho stand.
Oh, I'm already in. Let's go.
We're headed to Everglades Air Park, FAA identifier X-Ray 01. Welcome into the Future in Flight podcast, coming to you from a hangar somewhere near the flight line, where the FBO is running a phenomenal sale on a case of oil for spring. I'm your host, Sean Staerker. We've got an incredible show today. First, we're kicking things off on the competition ramp with the California Aeronautical University Flight Team, a crew of college students who volunteer their early mornings, late nights, and a 17-hour van ride across the Southwest, all in the name of flying better than everyone else at Nationals. We've got the coaches, the competitors, and yes, we've got Little Red, a 1965 Cessna 150 that's been flown cross-country to Oshkosh twice, because that's just what this team does. Then, we're celebrating Women's History Month in a way that I think is gonna stick with you. I brought in a special guest co-host for this one, my daughter, Ellie, and together we're walking through the women who didn't just fly in aviation, they helped build it. From 1910 to right now, these are the stories that belong at the center of that book. And finally, we're taking a trip to one of the coolest little airstrips in Florida, Everglades Air Park, X-Ray 01, where the runway is short, the history runs deep, and the logbook holds some pretty cool names. It's a packed flight plan today. Let's set takeoff power. There's a moment right before you push the throttle forward when the whole world gets quiet. It's just you, the plane, and a decision. Are you doing this? For the students of California Aeronautical University's competitive flight team, that moment happens a lot. In practice, at regionals, at nationals, and on a 17-hour van ride across the country, sitting shoulder to shoulder with your teammates, somewhere between Bakersfield and a tiny alien-themed airport in Roswell, New Mexico. Today, we're rolling down the runway with a team that has gone from 20th place at Nationals in 2022 to a squad genuinely eyeing the top 10. A team that wins Sportsmanship awards and safety awards, that counts a purple P-51 Mustang among its sponsors, and that flies cross-country in a 1965 Cessna 150 named Little Red, because that's just what champions do. California Aeronautical University isn't your typical college. It's an all-aviation institution. Every student is studying to be a pilot, an aircraft mechanic, or an aviation business professional. So when the idea of a competitive flight team first came up, you'd think it would have been a slam dunk. It wasn't. Melissa Johnston is the Director of Aviation Operations at CAU. She's also one of the coaches and the institutional memory of the flight team.
It was really student motivated and one staff member motivated. The university was a little unsure about it in the beginning. I think we were like, what do you mean there's a flight team that competes against other universities? How does that even work?
That's fair, because NIFA, the National Intercollegiate Flying Association, isn't exactly a household name. Think of it like the NCAA, but for collegiate aviators. Jackson Kaspar, now a third-year team member and the team safety officer, broke it down for us.
NIFA stands for the National Intercollegiate Flying Association. They have their own board and their member teams. I think we're up to about 80 member teams across the entire country, split in between 9 or 10 regions. We are Region 2.
Region 2, 4 teams, and CAU, the kid from California, making the case that they belong. That early uncertainty? It didn't last long, because once those first students flew out to Prescott, Arizona for their first competition and came home with a reason to come back, the program started to grow into something bigger than anyone initially imagined.
Line up and wait, right, echo, on a booster 680.
Here's the thing about being on a competitive flight team in college. Nobody makes you do it. There are no scholarships on the line. There's no coach recruiting you in high school. You show up, you volunteer, and then you figure out how to squeeze in flight practices before sunrise and ground event study sessions after dark, on top of a full academic load. Jackson Kaspar had made up his mind before he had even enrolled.
My first experience with it was an open house here, and I actually met Melissa's brother, Nate, who was the current captain on the flight team. He gave me the whole lowdown, and from there I was set. My third or fourth week at the school, I had already signed our little application, done my interview, and was a member of the team.
Full throttle, week 3. For Sebastian Bernal, the team's alumni and community outreach lead, the hook was different. It was a competition event called Aircraft Identification, where you look at a plane and you tell the judges exactly what it is.
I'll go out to different airports and just plane watch, just watch the planes come in and out. So it was a really good competition for me. And after that, it was just second nature. It's like an additive to the fire.
An additive to the fire. I love that. And the day-to-day commitment isn't light. flight practices at local airports, ground event drills early in the morning or late at night, scrimmages against rival teams, most recently Embry-Riddle out at Lake Havasu City. Sebastian keeps himself sane the old-fashioned way.
I just have an agenda, and that agenda is followed to the T. Sometimes it changes, but trying to include schoolwork after practice or schoolwork before practice, or it's a big deal when it comes to students on the flight team.
An agenda followed to the T. At 20-something years old, juggling flight hours, academics, and competition prep, I told Melissa she had some champions on her hands. She already knew. Now, about Little Red. Little Red is a 1965 Cessna 150 Juliet model. She's got a straight tail, manual Johnson bar flaps, and about 100 horsepower between you and the sky. She's older than Jackson's parents. She's also the aircraft that the CAU Flight Team has flown twice from Bakersfield, California to Oshkosh, Wisconsin. That's roughly 1,800 miles each way.
It's legendary. Getting to fly something that dates back so far, older than my mother and my father even. It's kind of like driving around in a hot rod, but you get to fly across the country in it.
The route they take? South through El Paso, because the terrain is too high for a 150, then up through Roswell and Amarillo. Jackson has a soft spot for Roswell.
Roswell has to be my favorite stop. Every year we stop there, and it's an airplane graveyard. So, you get to see a lot of older, rare aircraft. And also at that FBO, they have a free nacho stand.
Free nachos at the Alien Airport? Of course. And then there's Oshkosh itself, EAA Air Venture, where the skies over Whitman Regional get so crowded with incoming traffic that ATC runs what pilots call a conga line. Hundreds of planes, one right behind the other, threading into one of the busiest air shows on Earth. It's loud, busy, and overwhelming.
Did not maintain a half-mile spacing from the aircraft in front of you. I need you to break it off and go back.
Which is exactly where having a great headset matters. The California Aeronautical Team is proudly sponsored by Lightspeed Aviation, and it's a partnership that started because two California Aeronautical University flight team captains walked up to Lightspeed's booth at AirVenture and started a conversation. That's aviation. You show up, you connect, you build something. CAU's partnership with Lightspeed started because of exactly that. And today, their students fly with the Lightspeed Zulu 3. Jackson got his as a high school graduation gift. He's since taken it across the country 4 times.
Even after flying 26 hours in 3 days across the country, I had no issues with my head hurting or my ears hurting. They're just so comfortable, and the active noise reduction is perfect for me because sometimes I can get a little overstimulated with how loud it is with the old 150s. You're sitting like 2 feet away from O200, so the active noise reduction is awesome.
Audio fatigue is real. On a long cross country, the constant drone of the engine isn't just annoying; it wears you down. One less thing on your mind means more mental bandwidth for actually flying the plane. Sebastian noticed a difference the moment he switched headsets.
I started off flight training with a different headset, and switching over to being able to use the Zulu 3s, it's a game changer. Being able to not hear the engine and hearing the comms is a big thing. It's really necessary to hear the tower comms or approach comms.
And here's something not everybody knows about the Lightspeed Zulu 3. It has a built-in recording capability. Jackson just earned his CFI certificate. He's about to start using it with his own students.
I just became a flight instructor 2 weeks ago. I'm extremely excited to get to put this to use for new students as a tool to help them learn their comms.
The Lightspeed Zulu 3, active noise reduction, all-day comfort, and now a teaching tool. The CAU Flight Team competes in events ranging from power-off 180 landings to navigation to aircraft identification. Jackson just took second place in the power-off 180 at regionals in Little Red. But one of the awards that comes up again and again when you talk to this team isn't a technical one. It's the Red Bear and Team Sportsmanship Award. CAU has won it in their region 4 years in a row.
I think that goes to show the type of students that our university produces in general. They just spent a 17-hour van ride together, so they want to go talk to the other team members and learn more about what they're up to and network with them.
4 years in a row. On top of that, at this most recent regionals competition, CAU won the Regional Safety Award for the first time in program history. Jackson, as safety officer, spoke to why safety culture matters beyond the competition ramp.
Safety is not just the efforts of one person, it's the efforts of the group as a whole. The safer everybody is and the more cognizant we are of all of our safety habits, the better we will be in the future.
That's the kind of thing that airlines notice, because those same airlines show up to NIFA competitions looking for exactly these students. And CAU has the partnerships to prove it. SkyWest, United's Aviate program, all of them built through the flight team. So where does this team go from here? Right now, aircraft manufacturers are building new planes faster than there are pilots to fly them. A pilot boom is coming, and the students training today are the ones who'll be in those cockpits. Sebastian said it simply.
We're the beginning of aviation right now, but the beginning of aviation is just a milestone to a better career.
And for the flight team itself, Melissa's vision is clear.
They have just been such exponential growth. I think we can get top 10 at Nationals. That's my goal for them.
Top 10 at Nationals. From a program that started with a staff member who had to fight to get a flight team off the ground at all. Jackson thinks even bigger. Maybe not in 3 years, maybe in 5 or 10, but he's building toward it.
This is my third year, and I think there's nowhere else to go but up from here. I think there's definitely a place for California Aeronautical University's flight team to be a national champion. We're building our alumni, building our culture, building our safety culture, building that sportsmanship.
You gotta believe it to be it, and these three believe it. What a great crew. If you want to support the CAU Flight Team, they host an annual fly-in at Lima 62 at Budding Willow in Bakersfield. Good food, raffle prizes, and the chance to see Little Red in person. For more information, reach out to the team directly. We'll put links in the show notes. Up next, we celebrate Women's History Month with a look at some incredible female aviators throughout history. This episode is brought to you by Lightspeed Aviation. If you've ever struggled to hear clearly in a noisy cockpit, it might be time for an upgrade. The Lightspeed Zulu 3 headset delivers advanced active noise reduction, crystal clear communications, and all-day comfort, even on long cross-country flights. With Bluetooth connectivity, rugged Kevlar reinforced cables, and an industry-leading 7-year warranty, it's built for pilots who expect more from their gear. So whether you're training, time building, or chasing your aviation dreams, fly smarter, fly quieter with Lightspeed Aviation. Learn more at lightspeedaviation.com. Welcome back. Joining us in the hangar is a special guest, my daughter, Ellie.
Hey, yeah, Dad basically said, Ellie, you're gonna like this one, and then wouldn't tell me anything else. Classic.
I stand by that move, because today's episode is one I've actually been wanting to do for a while. And honestly, I wanted you here for it.
Okay, now I'm curious. What are we talking about?
We're talking about the women who built aviation. Like, actually built it. Not as a footnote or a side chapter, as a central part of the story that doesn't get told nearly enough.
Oh, I'm already in. Let's go.
Okay, I want you all, Ellie included, to picture something. It's 1910. There are no smartphones, no GPS, no YouTube tutorials on how to do anything. The airplane itself is only 7 years old, barely old enough to be in second grade. And in France, a woman named Ramon de la Roche climbs into a flimsy wooden canvas aircraft, takes off, and becomes the first woman in the world to earn a pilot's license.
Wait, 1910? That's only 7 years after Kitty Hawk.
7 years. The technology barely existed and she was already in it professionally.
Okay, that's wild. Some people take 7 years to decide on a college major.
Don't at me on that one, but yeah, that's exactly the point. Aviation was brand new and women were already there. That's where our story starts, but trust me, it doesn't slow down from there. Let's go back to 1921. America's in the middle of the aviation boom. Barnstormers are wowing crowds at county fairs. Flying is glamorous. But in the United States, flight schools are turning away a young black woman from Texas named Bessie Coleman. Every single one.
So they just turned her away?
For Bessie Coleman, every door in the country was closed at that time.
So what did she do?
She learned French, moved to France, earned her international pilot's license, came back to the U.S. and became a barnstormer, performing for crowds who had never seen a black female aviator in their lives.
That's genuinely one of the most I'll-figure-it-out-myself moves I've ever heard.
She refused to perform at venues that wouldn't let black audience members in the front door. She used her platform, her airplane, as a statement.
She didn't just push past the barriers. She went back and took the barriers apart.
Exactly. That's not just history. That's a blueprint. Fast forward to 1932. A woman in a bright red Lockheed Vega takes off from Newfoundland, Canada, alone, in the middle of the night, no autopilot. Almost immediately an exhaust manifold cracks, filling her cockpit with fumes and a ring of flames. Ice starts forming on the wings. Then her altimeter fails. She has no idea how high she is.
Okay, I would have turned around.
Most people would have. But 14 hours and 56 minutes later, Amelia Earhart landed in a cow pasture in Northern Ireland, the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean.
A cow pasture?
A farmer ran out of his barn to meet her. She told him she'd flown from America. He reportedly just stared.
I mean, same farmer, same.
Earhart crossed the Pacific solo 3 years later. She co-founded the 99s, an organization of women pilots that still exists today, still gives out scholarships, still mentors young women trying to get into aviation.
Wait, it's still around? Like, right now?
Right now. You can look them up. If you're a young woman listening to this and you want community in aviation, start there.
That's actually really cool. She built something that outlasted her.
She understood that visibility mattered, that if young women could see her doing it, they'd believe they could too. Now, World War II. This is where things get really interesting.
Okay, I know the Wasps. We talked about them in class once.
Give the listeners a quick version.
So Jacqueline Cochran basically convinced the Army Air Force to create a program where women could fly military aircraft. They ferried planes from factories to bases, tested them, towed targets so male pilots could practice shooting. They did everything except fly in combat.
Over 1,000 women served in the Wasps. They flew everything from little training planes to B-17 flying fortresses. And they did it without the same benefits or recognition as male pilots for decades.
Which is kind of a bummer.
It is. But here's where I want to take you, because while that was happening in the U.S., something completely different was happening in the Soviet Union.
Ah, the night witches.
You know about them?
I read about them for a school project. They're pretty awesome.
Okay, go ahead. Tell them.
Okay, so the 588th Night Bomber Regiment was a unit made up entirely of women. They flew these old, slow biplanes on nighttime bombing raids. No radios, no parachutes, and they cut their engines on the final approach so the Germans couldn't hear them coming. The only sound was this soft whooshing through the air like a broomstick.
Which is why the Germans called them
Nachtexen, the Night Witches.
Nicely done. One pilot from that era, Lydia Litviak, call sign White Rose of Stalingrad, became the world's first female fighter ace. 12 enemy aircraft shot down, killed in action at age 21.
21? That's barely older than some of the people listening right now.
The aviation world is full of names you've heard of 100 times. Lydia Litviak deserves to be one of them. After the war, Jacqueline Cochran, founder of the Wasps, became the first woman to break the sound barrier in 1953. She held more speed, altitude, and distance records than any other pilot of her era, male or female.
She just kept going.
That's just who she was. And then 10 years later, 1963, Soviet cosmonaut Valentina Tereshkova became the first woman in space. She orbited Earth 48 times over 3 days.
She went before most of the Mercury astronauts, right?
Before most of them, yes. And then it was 20 more years before an American woman followed. Sally Ride, 1983, first American woman in space. And then Eileen Collins, 1995, first woman to pilot a space shuttle. 1999, first woman to command one.
Each one made it a little more possible for the next one.
That's exactly it. You don't just break a barrier for yourself. You break it for everyone behind you. Every single one of those women cleared a runway. Okay, Ellie, last story, and this is one I really wanted you to hear.
Why?
Because she's still flying right now in 2026. Lucy Young is 71 years old. She lives in Falmouth, Massachusetts. She flies for Cape Air, a regional airline out of Hyannis, part-time, by choice, because she still loves it.
At 71?
At 71. But let's rewind. Lucy Young earned her Navy wings in 1977, became the first woman to instruct in the TA-4J Skyhawk in 1981, one of the first women to qualify in naval air combat maneuvering, flew in support of Desert Shield and Desert Storm, then spent 33 years as a captain at American Airlines.
That's an amazing career.
And this February, she received the FAA Wright Brothers Master Pilot Award, 50 years of safe flying.
What made her start? Like, what was the thing?
She said it was wanderlust. She was a college student at Purdue and she just wanted to see the world from up there. That was it. That was the whole reason.
That's an awesome reason. "50 years, one woman, one feeling, wanderlust. That turned into a career that opened doors for thousands of women who came after her. And she's still at it. I love that she didn't stop. Like, she could have stopped, and she just didn't want to.
That's the thing about people who really love flying. It's not just a job, it's who they are. Here's what I'd like you to take away from this segment. Aviation has never belonged to just one kind of person. It has always belonged to whoever was brave enough to show up, get in the airplane, and go. Ramon de la Roche, Bessie Coleman, Amelia Earhart, the Night Witches, Jacqueline Cochran, Sally Ride, Eileen Collins, Lucy Young. These aren't footnotes. These are the stories.
If you're listening to this now and you've been told that aviation isn't for you, I just want to point out, every single person in that list was told the same thing, and they flew anyway.
Well said. See? This is why I brought you.
I might come back again sometime.
Deal. Okay, if you're listening and you want to learn more, look up the 99s, Women in Aviation International, and the National Aviation Hall of Fame. We'll put links in the show notes. And if you're wondering whether aviation is for you, whether you have the right background, the right look, the right last name, the sky doesn't check any of that at the door. It just asks, can you fly? Up next in Future in Flight Destinations, we take a trip to the gateway to the Everglades, Everglades Air Park, and are joined by some very special friends. Some airports are just fuel stops. You land, you top off, you go. But every once in a while, you come across a strip of asphalt that feels like it was dropped there by history, like somebody picked up a piece of the past and set it down in the middle of a swamp and dared you to find it. Welcome to Future in Flight Podcast Destinations, the segment where we take you somewhere worth flying to. And today, we're going somewhere that many pilots have on their bucket list and most people have never heard of. We're headed to Everglades Air Park, FAA identifier X-Ray 01, just southwest of Everglades City, Florida. Picture this, December in southwest Florida. We're rolling south on Highway 41, the Tamiami Trail, with the windows down and sawgrass stretching out on the horizon. I've got my wife and newborn son in the car. My friend Leslie Poberezny is in the car beside ours, along with her husband Mark and my daughter Ellie. And Leslie isn't just any Florida visitor. Her grandfather, Paul, founded the Experimental Aircraft Association, one of the most important aviation organizations in the world. And her dad, Tom, was an aerobatic world champion and chairman of the EAA. Aviation is literally in her DNA. So when Leslie tells me there's an airport down in Everglades City her dad used to fly into, a place he loved, and she wants to go look for his name in the pilot logbook they keep there, I knew exactly where she wanted to go. No way I'm saying no to this adventure. I haven't been down there in years. I'm in. Everglades Air Park opened in 1947, built by the Collier family, one of the wealthy, landowning families who basically built this part of Florida. That same year, President Harry Truman came here to this runway to officially dedicate Everglades National Park. Think about that. A sitting U.S. president stepping off a plane at a 2,400-foot strip of asphalt in the middle of the Everglades to protect one of the most unique ecosystems on the planet. History has a way of landing in unexpected places. The runway, still only 2,400 feet, is one of the shortest in Florida. It sits just 5 feet above sea level. The surrounding protected land means it can't be expanded. There are trees off the western end, and there are birds. Lots of birds. And after a good rain, parts of the safety area flood. Flying into X-Ray 01 isn't for the faint of heart, but that's kind of the point. Short field landings are a skill, and this place keeps that skill alive. When we pulled in, the first thing I noticed was how quiet it was. Not empty, just still. The kind of quiet that makes you feel like you found somewhere that not everybody knows about. The air park is a gateway airport. Pilots fly in to access Everglades National Park. They tie down and head into town to visit the famous Rod and Gun Club, an old hunting and fishing lodge that has hosted U.S. presidents and celebrities for over a century. They come for the Seafood Festival every February. They come because getting here by air means landing somewhere that actually feels like a destination. And then there's the logbook, up the stairs and inside the terminal. And I use that word loosely because this is a small, humble, perfectly sized little building. There's a pilot visitor logbook. It's one of those things you don't see at every airport anymore. Pilots who visit sign their name, right where they flew in from, sometimes leave a note. It's a living document of everyone who ever pointed their nose at this strip of swamp and said, yeah, I'm going there. Leslie was looking for her dad's handwriting. Tom Poberezny had flown down here at least a decade ago, and she had a feeling his name might be in that book somewhere. We didn't find it, and I have to be honest, that moment had a weight to it. When you're looking for someone's handwriting and you come up empty, it's a quiet kind of grief. But here's the thing about logbooks. They're still full of stories, even when they don't have the one you're looking for. Because flipping through those pages, other names jumped out at us. Bill Stein, one of the most celebrated aerobatic pilots in the country, a Hall of Fame inductee. Ken Reeder, leader of Redline Air Shows, one of the most incredible father-son aerobatic teams flying today, who had flown his RV-6 all the way in to visit Rod and Gun Club. Aviation is a small world, and logbooks prove it.
You know you've been in my dreams a lot lately, and I kind of remember some of them vaguely. You know they seem so real at the time.
After the airport, we needed food. And if you're near Everglades City and you don't stop at the Havana Cafe, I'm going to question your decision-making. Cuban food. Seriously good Cuban food. Most of our table, and I'm including myself in this, went straight for the Cuban sandwich. Fresh pressed, warm, the kind of thing you think about on the drive home. And quite truthfully, you might still have some left over. Fueled up, both literally and figuratively, we kept moving. Because if you're going to drive the Tamiami Trail, you have to make at least one more stop, the Ochapee Post Office. It's a few miles down the road from Everglades City, and it is officially the smallest operating post office in the United States. It used to be an irrigation pipe storage shed. It's approximately the size of a standard garden shed. It has one employee, and it has a line of tourists out front taking pictures. And yeah, we were definitely in that line. We'll include the pictures on the website or on social media. And then, because we had friends visiting from Wisconsin, and because it's basically the law, we drove a little further down US 41 looking for alligators. Because when you're from the Midwest and you've never seen one up close, you need to see one up close. We found some. They were very unbothered by us, which is honestly exactly the right attitude for an apex predator lounging in a ditch next to a highway. Here's what I want you to take away from this one. Everglades Air Park is the kind of place that reminds you why general aviation matters. It's not a hub. It's not a major commercial operation. It's a 2,400-foot strip of asphalt that opened in 1947, watched a president dedicate a national park, survived multiple hurricanes, and is still welcoming pilots today. It's a short field challenge for anyone building skills. It's a gateway to one of the most wild and beautiful places in North America. And it's a place where a logbook holds the ghost of every pilot who ever came looking for something. A fish, a Cuban sandwich, a famous club, or maybe their dad's handwriting. Aviation connects us to places. It connects us to people. And sometimes, it connects us to the ones we've lost. Leslie didn't find her dad's signature that day, but she found an airport full of names that knew the same sky he did. And maybe that's its own kind of answer. If you're building your hours and you're looking for a meaningful destination flight, look up Everglades Air Park, identifier X-ray 01. Brief yourself carefully. Short runway, birds, terrain, and limited services. But go, sign the logbook, have the Cuban sandwich, and look for alligators on the flight home. That's our show for today. What a great flight we've had. From Little Red cruising at altitude somewhere over Roswell, to the women who refused every closed door aviation ever put in front of them, to a quiet little airstrip at the edge of the Everglades where a logbook holds the mark of every pilot who ever made the trip. I hope something from today's episode lands with you, stays with you, maybe even pushes you a little further down that runway. A huge thank you to the California Aeronautical University Flight Team, Melissa, Jackson, and Sebastian, for letting us sit in on something real. Keep building that culture. Top 10 at Nationals isn't a dream, it's a destination. You've got the flight plan. Go fly it. And speaking of great partners, thank you to Lightspeed Aviation for being a cornerstone supporter of the Future in Flight podcast. Lightspeed Aviation doesn't just build great headsets. They believe in the next generation of aviators. They're helping us build this community one episode at a time, and we're genuinely grateful for that partnership. If you're in the market for a headset that goes the distance, literally, as in Bakersfield to Oshkosh, check out the Lightspeed Zulu 3 at lightspeedaviation.com. Now, if this show has meant anything to you, here's how you can pay it forward. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and take 2 minutes to leave us a review. That's the fuel that keeps this thing airborne. It helps other young aviators find us, and it tells us we're doing something worth doing. You can find us at futureinflight.com, and we're always out there on social media. Come say hi. Tell us where you're flying from. Until next time, we'll see you out there and up there.